everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we'll be talking about Robot Quest Arena. But before we do, we want to remind you to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can see all the videos coming out as they come out. Now, Robot Quest Arena is designed by Robert Daughtry, CJ Monahan, Paul White, and it is published by Wise Wizard Games.
Have you ever watched the BattleBots show?
No, I have not watched the BattleBots show, but I have watched Big Hero 6.
Okay.
They fight.
This is like if you had a bunch of Big Hero 6-ish characters all fighting in a BattleBots arena. That's what's happening here.
Is it legal? Because it wasn't legal in Big Hero 6. That's how the whole thing started.
Not only is it legal, it's encouraged.
Oh!
You are encouraged to fight your opponents in this game. Alright, so basically what's happening is this is an arena-style game. You have all these different robots. There's these cute, big, giant, kind of chubby plastic guys that are running around the board, attacking each other. It's also a deck-build style game as well. So let me give you a quick overview of how to play. Alright, here's our setup for Robot Quest Arena. Over here we have actual arena where we're going to be doing all of our battling. We've got all of our players set up on the corners. You can play this game a number of ways: teams, 3-player, 4-player, or you can even play 2 players against each other, each controlling 2 robots. But no matter what happens, this is where all the action happens. This is the arena. There are some tiles on here that are customizable. This is kind of the recommended starting setup, but then once you're more familiar with the game, you can kind of set up the game however you want. In fact, there's even some additional tiles you can put out there that have some additional benefits. Each one of those things, when you land on them, has certain effects. Maybe you get some healing. Maybe you get to get rid of some cards in your hand or your discard pile. Maybe you get to get some extra victory points. Maybe you lose health. Whatever the case is, each one of these tiles do have some meaning on the board. Each player also has their own individual player board. These cubes down here represent the health of your character. As you can see, the last one there on the left is a blue cube. Once you lose that, when you're losing your health, that indicates that your robot has been knocked out. You still get to come back on the board, but that means you've been knocked out, and you kind of do a refresh at the beginning of your next turn. And all these cubes and gems represent all the different points you can earn. When you are knocking out health, those are points, but there are other ways that you can gain points as well. When you get refreshed and you come back on the board after you've been knocked out, you use these blue cubes again as kind of that first cube, and then you use the red cubes to fill out the rest of your health. The game end is triggered once all the blue cubes have been used up, and you need to use another one, and if there's no more there, at that point the game ends. So that's the whole point of the game. You're trying to get as many cubes as possible, knocking out robots, using your card effects, whatever the case is, to get as many cubes as possible before the game end is triggered. So how do you do that? How do you move around? How do you do attacks? All that stuff. That's all done through our deck here. This is a deck building game, so we're all going to start with a weak deck here, mostly comprised of these batteries. Batteries are all about energy. Usually, starting ones, they only give you one apiece, but energy can be used for a lot of different things. You can use energy to move around. You can also use energy as your currency to buy more cards from this area over here. But then also, some card effects might also involve using energy to make them stronger. We also start off with a kind of a weak melee weapon, as well as a card that helps kind of move around a little bit. But again, those are kind of weak starting cards compared to what you're able to buy from the market over here. These bottom 3 cards, these are always available. Over here we have advanced batteries. This will give you 3 energy. Then we have a heavy hammer, which is a stronger version of what's in your starting deck. We also have a rivet gun, which is our first ranged weapon. We have ranged weapons as well as melee weapons in this game. Ranged weapons can hit you from farther away. You do, however, have to have line of sight, meaning you cannot fire someone through a wall or something like that. So these 3 cards are always available, but these 6 cards, those are kind of always moving in and out. As you purchase them, they get replenished. So we bought this card over here. This is a ranged boomerang. It's really strong. When you purchase it, it goes into our discard pile. And then at the end of the turn, it's going to get replenished. So that's how the market of cards works over here. If you're unfamiliar with how a deck building game works, I kind of mentioned it earlier, you start with a really weak hand of, a weak deck of cards. What's going to happen is you're going to draw those, shuffle those up, draw 5 of these cards, you're going to use them. Use them to buy new cards, use them to move around, whatever the case is. At the end of your turn, what you're going to do, all the cards that you've used, you're going to put in your discard pile. Any cards that you purchased, you're also going to put in the discard pile. And you draw more cards at the end of your next turn, or at the beginning of your next turn. Same thing, when you're with that hand, these go in the discard pile, along with any cards that you've purchased. Now what's going to happen is, when you need to draw more cards and you run out of deck, you're gonna shuffle up your discard pile, but now your deck has those newer, better cards inside of it. So when you shuffle up and draw new cards, you're gonna have those stronger cards in there. So therefore, you're gonna have a stronger hand of cards to be able to move around more, cause more damage, buy better cards, etc., etc. So that's really all there is to this game. It's a deck building mechanism to build up your robot stronger and stronger. You're going to be using energy to buy new cards, you're going to use energy to move around the board, and you're going to be using your weapons to fire at your enemies in order to gain points. You may even come across cards that just give you points right away. A card like this Pit Stop allows you to do a variety of things. The first thing it says is just take one of the cubes from the supply. Just take one victory point. Plus it gives some energy, plus it gives you a chance to repair yourself. So there's lots of different ways that you can get those tokens. That's the main point of the game. Get those tokens any way you can, but most of the time it involves violence in the arena.
So I know this is a weird thing, but I felt like this game took up the inappropriate amount of space. Usually when I think of arena games or anything like that, they're huge and they take up almost too much space. But I felt like they only used the space they absolutely needed for the arena and for the cards. Like, I've played other just card games that take up more space than this, and I just like how they utilized all of that. They didn't have all this like flavor text in it to make it the arena bigger than it needed to be. I liked that it was like, how much of this do we actually need, and let's only use that for the board. I know it's a really like random thing, but I just really appreciated that.
I'm a big fan of deck builders. I love deck building games, but I also like it when deck builders do something new, something additional besides just the deck building. I'm not one of those people that hates just pure deck builders, but at the same time, I like seeing what else is out there. So I like that this was the deck building as a means of charging up your robots. So the stronger you made your deck, the more variety you gave to your deck, the more weapons you gave to the deck, that's what you're equipping your guy with. So I really enjoyed having deck building, the mechanism of deck building, be used in a way that interacted with the board, moving things around, firing weapons, things like that. I thought it was a really great combination that I had not seen before in that exact way.
And I also like in this arena game when you're demolished, basically, when your robot needs to be tuned up because he's been hurt too bad, you're not like out of the game.
You're not dead.
You're not even punished, really. You just go out and then you come back on. It's not like lose half your cards or now you only can fill up to this much. There was none of that going on. You just get back in there. And I know that when you've played a lot of arena games, sometimes when you do get hurt, you're punished, I guess, for the next round or something like that. And that wasn't it, because
it rewards your opponent without hurting you.
Yes, that's exactly what happens. And I really like that because the whole point is to destroy each other, which means you're getting destroyed, but you still want to play the game. So I just really liked that you didn't get punished when people were doing what the game asked.
I guess it fits nicely with my next kind of thing I want to talk about, which is this is a very cute style game.
Yes.
I mean, this has got these cute little guys in this box. The actual 3D miniatures themselves are even cuter than what the box art shows. The card art itself, everything is kind of very colorful and bright. So it is a combat style game, an arena combat style game, but everything is more family friendly approach to it, while still getting lots of get down and dirty and beating each other up. You still have I don't know, it's just a family-friendly version of that, while not being kiddish either. It's still enjoyable for adults.
Yeah, I do want to say, so it plays 2 to 4. When you play 2-player, you're playing with all the robots, and you have 2 players, and your opponent has 2 players, and you have one deck that you're using to control both of your robots. I found that when we played that way, we almost stuck to one arena and the board, and when we played 3 to 4 player, versus, I felt like we explored more of the arena that was there and what it had to offer. It played totally fine at 2-player. I don't think that it was like horrible or anything. I just felt like I preferred it at the 3 to 4 player count because I felt like we were utilizing more of the board. But with that said, this was fun. I really liked it. I keep thinking that I don't like arena style games, and then I keep enjoying them. So I don't know what that says about me, that I actually don't know myself that well.
I think you're just a violent individual that just likes to beat people up in close quarters.
What?
That's what I'm hearing from this.
No, that's not even close to being true. I don't know. That is not. Now Ryan doesn't know me. Almost 14 years of marriage, and this is what he thinks of me.
I know. All I hear is I like combat.
No,
I like combat.
I like arena on the board.
I know what it is. You're like Julius Caesar. You're like you like watching the combat happen. You're like, yeah, gladiators, get in there, fight for me.
As long as it's not like people. But maybe,
robots.
maybe that is what I like. I don't know. But I did really like it, and I think one of the things that makes this stand out as opposed to other arena style games is it's cute. It's cute. That makes it very different than all the other styles games like this that I've played, is that it plays, you're killing each other, but it's cute. You're cutely killing each other.
You have an avatar that you're killing instead of a person.
Yes.
That helps.
Yeah.
I think this fills a hole in our collection as far as, one of those styles of games, but also it's something that's accessible. Our whole family can play it. So that deck building element, that's one of my favorite parts of the game. I know our daughters are deck building fans, so when you combine that all together, this is like a family hit, But again, it doesn't have to be a family game. I'm saying that a lot for ourselves, but it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, we played this with all adults, and it was a great time. So it's not just a family game. I keep on saying that.
Yeah.
That's only because that's the approach we're taking with our family, where we get a lot of our plays in. But this is definitely a full-on gamer game as well.
Yeah. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Like I said, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can see our videos as they come out. Until then, you can find us in all of these places.
You guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
You guys, thanks so much for watching. This game was provided to us by a publisher in exchange for a fair and honest review.
And if you want to see more stuff, check out over here to see something we think you might like.
And over here, we think that YouTube has picked out a great video for you you're going to love. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.